All right, welcome to episode 23 of It's Server Time. It's the usual four of us, but we're going to make some just slight changes. You might not notice them if I didn't point them out, but we're going to do some things a little bit different this time around in 2022. It's a new year, which means it's the same show, but like this is what's going to happen basically. We're going to try to make shows a little bit shorter. We're going to try to do more often, more frequently, and which is something we were experimenting at the end of last year. So maybe this part's not too new, but we're going to try to do all of them live. I think this has been a good experiment, and we're going to continue running with it because it's fun. It's fun to have some chat interaction here and there. And you know what? Why not double up? Like, it's just monetizing it twice. That's basically why, like for you guys at home, that's really the deep dark secret about this. But honestly,
we do this because we want to make more money from
it. yeah, which is it's really coming our direction. Also, something I want to put out there immediately is that we're looking for any kind of sponsorship. We're already talking to a couple different sponsors in the space, but we're kind of entertaining offers right now. And if you know anybody that would be interested in sponsoring a podcast such as this, as our numbers are increasing by the show, then get in touch with us. You can contact me. My email address is in my Twitter bio, so be sure to check it out there, and I'll provide all the details, all the deets. But yeah,
I want to get that. I want to get that like TSM FTX money.
Yeah, if we can get some TSM FTX money, we might just stop doing shows entirely. Though
just a couple $1 million. That's all we.
We're gonna, the goal by the end of 2022, by 2024, It's Server Time should be on a yacht every time, and we should all be on our own yachts. That's the goal.
We'll still be remote. Yeah, we'll still be over Discord.
Satellite. Be a satellite. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I think that's good enough. Really quick, how about this, guys? How's your guys' holidays? Before we get into the nitty gritty recap of 2021, how was your holiday?
It was fun. I'm just glad to be in a new year. Last year was pretty shit, so hopefully this year's better.
Okay. That could have been brighter, but no. How about you?
I'm not gonna make this any better. I got COVID on Christmas, so that was a fun time. Obviously, all better now, but obviously that was a fun little week or so. But yeah, that was. Not trying to lower the mood.
What's going on?
I kind of wish I had also had
moving swiftly onward.
Yeah, I kind of wish I also had a really shit year, so I could be like, well, I'm glad you saved me for last because here's this and the other thing. I don't even have like an impromptu rant or anything. I honestly, the last year was pretty all right for me. I managed to. If I got COVID, I beat it pretty quick because I was sick once the whole year, and it wasn't really that big of a deal. So if I had to deal with it, it's done. And if I didn't have to deal with it, then I dodged it so far. So that's pretty cool. And then obviously the holidays, I'm pretty happy with some of that stuff. I'm sporting my undistinct, completely unremarkable shirt that I got for Christmas, so that's pretty cool. And then we got
if you didn't tell us, no one we wouldn't have noticed.
Exactly. But that's the thing is the fact that it's unremarkable. And in that way, it is just another year. And that's all that I could have asked for, considering how insane everybody else's year seems to have been. The fact that my year was not really that big of a deal is better than it could have been. You know what I mean? So, plus we got some cool CS that we watched. I launched a channel for my game development firm. So things are moving in the right direction. And this time next year, you talked about yachts in 2024, but I think I might get there first. I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's wow.
Not really. Not actually yachts. Come on now. I'm just saying. I wouldn't spend it on a yacht, but we're building stuff. You're
blinking and you're building, fam, and you're rising and you're grinding. Okay.
There you go.
Okay. I'll do my holiday recap or my end of the year recap. I mean, basically, I moved to London, which is cool. Like that's like my big thing because I was splitting a lot of my time between LA and Hawaii, and it honestly just for the work that I'm doing, I just can't keep flying 25 hours. It was brutal. It became brutal after a while. So I broke up with my girlfriend. I'm single in London, and it's freaking awesome. It's freaking awesome. Like being in London is great because I haven't lived in a walkable city since I lived in New York from 2011 to 2016, and dude, I am so happy to be back in one. Like just walking every day improves my mood so much. It's crazy. It's crazy how much that does for humans. Just usually using your body regularly is really nice. Don't order delivery every day, guys. If you live in a city, that's like the worst thing you can do. Like, take advantage of everything.
I did that in LA a lot. I'm not gonna lie, but I went for a lot of walks because I enjoy walking. So definitely do recommend.
Exactly. So I'm super happy with where things are for me. I got to spend Christmas in London with my parents, and that's me. But let's get into it. So the theme of the show this time, and we will have another episode in hopefully a week. That we're trying to be really consistent with this, so we're aiming for 1 week from now, as we're going to do a roster mania episode. But this one is going to be a 2021 recap. So we have a few topics here that are a little off base, and we're gonna get into them. So the first one that's going to kick off the discussion is going to be, what was our favorite tournament of 2021? Let's go reverse order. So Pranogo, what was your favorite tournament?
Well, I think you're giving me the easy one here, because for my money, there really were. You can make kind of like a devil's argument for one event, which was the Blast World Finals, being like in the running. But for me, really, the only two that register are the two big arena events that we had at the end of the year, and that one of them is the major, and the other one is the fall finals. So I am going to pick the major, and I'm interested to hear you guys' points. Obviously, there were, the immediate cynical mind says, "What do you mean the major? You mean PGL's deaf audio engineer and so on and so forth." But like, still, it was a major. It was the first major we had in a long time. It was 2 years in the running. The viewership records were absolutely shattered, and even if you don't put that much stock into it, the fact that everybody was talking about it at least meant that, in my mind, Counter-Strike was here to stay. There was some uncertainty of like, if this major doesn't bang, does the sport die? Does the competition die? And it seems like we're healthy enough that those naysayers could be sort of put to rest for a little bit. And that was the most important part for me. Plus, we obviously got the storyline of Simple finally getting his major trophy. So I would say, all in all, that was my favorite tournament of the year. And while it wasn't the only notable one, it was one of the select few for my money. So I'm interested to see where everybody else goes on this. But that's why I would pick the major, is we finally got the very satisfying story of the GOAT getting his trophy. And then we also got, the return after being blue-balled for so long.
Okay, note. What's actually Mix or Note? Are you guys, either of you, going to say the major also?
No.
Okay, no. All right, Note. Then what's yours then?
Well, I mean, obviously I'm going to end up being a little biased on this one, but mine was obviously Blast Fall Finals, just because I was actually there in person.
Yeah. You like the cheating?
Sorry.
You like the fans cheating. That's why.
Yes, of course. Naturally, I'm a huge Astralis fan, and so hearing the crowd. Obviously, I work for HL TV, so like Danish bias right there.
Yeah.
It all just really tied in, So
just the way that the way that you're asking a journalist, and it's just like, sorry, I like cheating. What? That was a perfect reaction. I almost choked. Thank you.
But yeah, actually being in that arena was really, really cool, especially after basically 2 years of nothing, and also never really being working at a big arena event. The only other one I'd been at was New York 2019 or something, and I think I was just there as an audience member, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just really cool being in that stadium, and also the walk-ins and the whole environment in that actual area was really, really cool. So that definitely took the cake for me. I did like Stockholm, obviously, because it was like a more balanced crowd in terms of the reactions, but from what I hear, that was a lot better in person than it was on stream. And so, yeah, I definitely have to go with Blast Fall Finals just for my personal experience.
All right. That's a fair one. I think also, I mean, just flat out, the production value of that was incredible. Yeah. Like, I mean, the cheating moment aside, everything else was nearly flawless. Like, honestly, like, it's one thing that kind of marred the discussion regarding the whole event, but in actuality, it was pretty damn good beyond that. Like, pretty effing good. Like, Blast nailed it with that one. All right, Mix, what's yours?
My favorite event actually was Cologne. Kind of like, it wasn't a crowd, but like the first return to LAN after like a year and a half or so. And I don't know, I just felt like the matches and the overall stories in that event were better. Maybe not. I think you can make a case for Astralis at Blast. That was pretty hype. Them actually playing good, but I feel like there's like a lot of interesting stuff happening at Cologne. Obviously, NaVi won pretty easily, but like I felt like the phase run out of nowhere was like a pretty big thing, coming back on LAN for the first time, taking out like Gambit and like the Astralis, like little run Astralis had as well. yeah, I just really enjoyed that event. I felt like the atmosphere was really nice. The matches were really good. It was fun to see everyone on LAN again.
Yeah, that I will say that that little phase run was that kind of put a little cherry on top of that event. Actually, like that was
Like
cute.
that was like one of the prime teams where it was like, I wonder if they'll actually be good when they come back to LAN. And it's like to actually see them like be so shit for so long, and then they actually come on LAN. They beat like the online kings like Gambit. Was like, it was a really cool story.
Exactly, because it was one of those moments where, dude, so many teams throughout the online era were like, "Well, we're built for LAN. We're built for LAN." It's like, shut up, like, no, you're not. But FaZe finally showed that they were the one that was. So good for them. I have a really hipster pick for my tournament of the year. It was the DreamHack Open June North America, and the reason for that is because I went into that tournament. So for people that don't know, the first place finish was Extrasalt. Second place was Oplano. Top four were Pain Gaming and Party Astronauts. And the reason that was one of my favorites is because just vivid emotions running through me as I was on the desk for that one, for a couple of reasons. One is that I went in as an Oplano fan because Henny is my favorite player. I really wanted to see them succeed as a roster, and they just broke my heart in so many different ways because they were late for every single match by like 20 minutes. And I literally just started slowly hating them more and more. And I was like, I can't keep rooting for this team if they're going to waste my time like this, because I'm on the desk and they're making me go to bed even later or wake up early. Like, I'm waking up so long before this, and we're just sitting there doing nothing with our hands on our faces waiting for them. And I think like the way it worked, like they kept beating teams. You know, they beat Party Astronauts, which was expected, and in the grand finals they had to be late like 30 minutes or something. And we saw their webcam. We were looking at their webcams in the online green room, and it was like no one was even in their boot camp room in their Mexico hotel. And then we suddenly see just TRK walk in, and it's just like, he's setting up now, like 30 minutes late. Like, it's just so ridiculous. And they get into this huddle, and we just see them kind of like they're doing a chant like huddle thing, and it's like, guys, the match was supposed to start like 40 minutes ago. Like, this is the worst thing ever. And Extrasalt just bodies them like 16-2 on the first map, 16-9 on the next map. Like, it was just like a thrashing, and I was like, honestly, fuck Oplano. Like, I was just like, say, fuck Oplano. I can't.
I'll speak on this a little bit because dude, my camera will not focus. But so obviously I was on Nord event, and like that became Oplano, like 0 Nation, all that stuff. And so like I feel like the org wanted to keep me and like have me like work with the team. And so I was like, I'll like try it out. I'll like talk to them a bit and see like, and then like from like my talks with Kogu, I was like, I feel like I had no idea what these guys were like ever doing. Like they were never gonna keep me like up to date with anything. I was like, I'm practically not even on a team at this point. I'm just like an intern, like an assistant, just on the side, just like doing some notes or something. And I just felt like, yeah, I was just like, this team doesn't really seem like something I'll be happy to be a part of.
Yeah.
And then it went pretty bad for them in Europe, unfortunately. So see what they do now. We'll talk about that next week, though.
I just can't believe you unironically like made your pick the joke I was gonna make, which was gonna be saying my favorite event was ESEA like Spring Cash Cup 4 or something, and you essentially did that. But for real.
Oh, but the thing is, like, I mean, because working some of the events I worked was more fun, like being in studios at Blast or at WePlay and stuff, but like or Flashpoint even. But I will say, like, that one was just so memorable in terms of all the emotions that I felt, and that's just rare to feel that much when you're working. Okay, let's move on to the second category here. We kind of have a time limit here, and plus we're trying to keep these shows a little bit quicker. So the second question, a second topic, is going to be, what was your most exciting team for you to watch in 2021? And I'll randomize the order. Let's go with Note. What was your team?
So I would say my favorite team was I actually had this pulled up and then now I have to look back at it. In terms of just like getting a nice healthy variety in results, I would say Virtus Pro is fun to watch throughout the year. They're always just like a little bit, you never know really what to expect from them, because you know they can always take down most big teams, but their consistency was off. I think with Flit, it's going to be fun watching them this year to see like how much they've grown since the break and whatnot. But I would say they were definitely one of my favorite teams to watch in terms of the overall variety and the level that they would consistently bring to matches. And not really knowing whether they're gonna demolish a team or if they're gonna just capitulate and lose,
or they're gonna lose to 100 PG, whose best player's name is Iceman with a 4 in it. Yeah, like
yes.
I was actually also gonna pick VP, so I'll just jump on this one because yeah, VP. I've not been shy about this, that I freaking love this team. Like I think they're, like you said, there's just again, like I like the just roller coaster ride you're on for VP because it's also the longest ride possible. Like the paid by the round stuff is legitimately, it's so ridiculous that this is a self-fulfilling prophecy meme. Like every game with them is somehow 30 rounds, all 3 maps. Like it feels like, or even if it's a 2-mapper, it's a 60 round 2-mapper. It's crazy how they're able to do that to us. I also just really love like that Yakinder was able to just make it on the big stages. People like there was definitely some doubters in the beginning of I would say late 2020 when he was kind of getting onto the scene as a tier 1 player, and I'm glad that he proved. I'd say he proved all those doubters wrong. I think he's going to be top 10 HLTV this year. I think if not top 10, top 12. It's going to be really close, and he did it at LAN, so that's sweet. All right, Mix, who's your most exciting team to watch?
I mean, for me, I'm always just pretty biased, so it's always like Extra Solid or Liquid. Those are just the teams I'm always like invested in, so I just naturally kind of like enjoy watching them the most. Aside from them, I'd probably have to say Gambit in terms of like the team I just enjoy watching play the most. They just have a style that I really like, where it feels controlled, but just like some randomness in it. Mm-hmm. Like watching Axel, like is just one of my favorite things. So I'd probably say them if not going with NA.
Okay. Pronogo.
I'll say on the VP point very quickly that I have a bit of a lag effect where there's like this hangover effect for me where I keep remembering all the times where it was Jame time and that was like more legitimate. And now it's a little bit harder to say. Like he still does it sometimes, but it's a little bit more understandable. I mean, the whole
Shiro does
world.
It. I feel like Shiro does it more.
Yeah. Like I was about to say Shiro does a decent amount of it. Like Gambit kind of build a lot of that. So if you're going to complain about one, you got to have to complain about the other, but I mean,
and Rops does it a lot too.
Yeah.
And everybody loves Rops.
Everybody loves Rops, but yeah,
except me.
Except you. This is the thing is, like, I think you got your wires crossed somewhere. You're supposed to really be a fan of Rops, but actually despise VP, and you somehow like flip them. I don't know what happened there, but
like with Gambit, for me, it's more so that like I don't necessarily enjoy like watching them. They can be pretty boring, like how Shiro plays, but it's the way that I enjoy seeing a team play. It's the way I want my teams to play, kind of. So I enjoy seeing them flesh it out.
Yeah, the most tactically sound, right? Like the most sort of.
I like their T sides because they're kind of random. I like their T sides because like Axile just walks out sometimes, and Hobbit just walks out sometimes. I like watching their demos.
It's I wouldn't say
like
it's
they're pugging
as random as it seems, but it's like but it's really good. I just love that shit.
Yeah. Is it just me, or is Shiro a bit of a boring player? Like you see at the end of the game, he has 30 kills.
It truly
try OC, you can see the flick.
No, with Shiro, it's like at the end of the game you can see he had 6 deaths, but like it's always like so single digit deaths with this guy. Like I don't even know how he manages it. Yeah. It's like you can lose 16-8 and somehow he has 7 deaths or some shit like that. It's like what the hell? Like what? Try to clutch or something. All right. Next topic. Let's move on.
I should just point out. I mean, I didn't even answer the question yet, but
I'll say, go for it.
I was surprised nobody said NaVi here. Like for me, the fact that NaVi won everything and Simple was a part of that, it's kind of surprising nobody said that. Personally, for me, like I've not really said this much, but I guess in my head I'm known as a ZywOo hater because I am a bit biased against him insofar as Simple and Nico, the other like god tier talents we have for the game currently, they've been in way more different kinds of teams, different styles of teams. And ZywOo's, his structure has remained very similar. He still had Xtaz up until most recently. And so I haven't seen him tested to the same degree. So when people are already trying to elevate him and be like, yeah, he's as good as Nico and Simple, like I'm like, come on, dude. So by virtue of that, I think some people would peg me as like maybe biased against him or whatever. However, I do think that even that all said, Vitality was still a pretty legit team to watch. If you're willing to accept some recency bias, when they started getting it together after being told that the team is going to enter into a massive rebuild after the major, that was really exciting stuff because you just didn't expect it, right? So it was like a kind of a combination of a lack of expectation and then them exceeding even the expectation from before. You know, they were actually at the level that they were supposed to be at, in air quotes, back towards the major area. That was really fun to see, and you got to give ZywOo his credit there, even if you are like me and you think that he's not as good as the other players. But yeah, I would still probably pick Navi, and if I have to pick a hipster pick, I'll just quickly say Entropic was really cool to see it rise up. The fact that Elian is finally arriving, back when they were still Windstrike and then ex-Windstrike, these players had to deal with an org, you know, holding payments over their head and just not sending anything. So the fact that they were able to get past that, get signed to a new org that I'd never heard of, and maybe has existed for a year or two now before then, and then they were still able to qualify for the major and do all these other things. Nobody expected them to do anything except for me and my pick'ems, of course. And then they managed to shock the world and almost make it to top 8, which is really impressive. And if Apex hadn't 1v5'd or whatever on Mirage, then they would have 2-0'd Vitality, and they probably also would have fallen out top 8 against Navi or whoever they would have been seeded against. But still, it would have been cool. So that's my team.
Okay. That's a unexpected pick from Pronogo. I like it. Okay, next one. Next topic. Let's do best storyline of 2021. This could be your I mean, this is more like favorite. All these are favorites. Even though I wrote best, it's more like your favorite storyline of the year. Let's do Mix. What's your favorite storyline?
Oh God, I'm not even sure. Like, I haven't really thought about like a lot of the stories in CS this year, especially only getting back to LAN. It's just there's been like the obvious ones. I mean, probably for me, the most interesting story throughout the whole year is just the entire like Astralis saga. Just in general, like everything that's happened with them, like the team, like everything with Bubsky to Device leaving, to the team trying to find like its old performance. You know, all these players leaving. Like I feel like everything that's been like developing and happening in Astralis is like like the fact that they were obviously the greatest team of all time. Like it just makes it super interesting to see how they do like every single event, and then see like where the players end up, like what direction they try to go in. Like it just feels like a big thing that's happening all the time.
Okay. No, actually, Note's gonna have a good one because he's freaking writing for HLTV. So I'm gonna save you for last. Actually,
and pressure's on now. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Pronogo, what's yours?
All right. So obviously, I said earlier, Simple getting the major W was really big. I won't linger too much on that. I'll actually pivot over to a little something that I think is near and dear to all of our hearts, which is NA not being dead, ? This storyline is not yet finished, right? The last chapter hasn't been written, but it looked pretty dead in the early stage, right? Especially when Cloud9 pulled out, and then like throughout all of 2021, it felt like it was basically, it might have not even been on life support at that point. It might have been decaying or something, but we finally got some life out of it. You know, it was, it came out of the vegetative state because orgs are resuming operations or like reactivating their rosters, right? Obviously Extra Salt and Party Astronauts are teams that are on the lower side of things, particularly Party Astronauts in that mix. But the fact that they exist and can give each other a little bit of competition domestically means, I think, that you won't have a complete collapse of practice quality, which you did see in the earlier stages of the year. I think now teams are finally starting to see that like we can make it to the next level if we get enough time, we get enough opportunity. So all I'll say about this is complexity relocating, e.g. investigating, Team Liquid royalty mating, Cloud9 Twitter baiting, long have we been awaiting, NA reactivating.
Wow. Holy shit.
Lord.
Man came with a poem.
I don't know if I can top that.
There we go. Yeah, that's actually maybe too good. Damn. Well, I was just going to say mine was because I like a little chaos.
Okay.
I think one of my favorite storylines was just Anonymo NIP the packet loss. Like I think that was just too ridiculous, and like that shit has just never happened before. It's not really a long storyline or anything like that, but it's just like I mean, I think in a way we kind of got the funny thing looking back at that is that like NIP kind of did cheat, you know. They kind of that's just kind of BS. That was kind of BS what they did right there. But I'm gonna spin it actually, and I think we got the result that was better for the tournament because NIP ended up coming in second at Flashpoint 3, And if they had to go through the lower bracket, I don't think that would have happened. And I think in a sense, like what we got to see was pretty cool that, you know, Rez started playing really well and people were hyped about him. And then ZTR even like just like kind of over the course of the tournament just kind of powered up for me. Like a lot of cool things came out of that. And yet it's tainted by the fact that NIP pulled a really like scummy move in that. But that's mine. I like the NIP. How much packet loss was it? 40% or something?
40%, yeah, whatever it was.
Yeah. So that's the 40%er. That's my favorite.
There's been a pretty good
some really good memes.
Yeah, that was a good. It was exactly. It spawned a lot of lulls.
I was gonna say there's been a pretty good storyline developing the past couple weeks, but we'll get into that.
We'll get into it next week. Get into the stories.
All the storylines.
So mine would have to be this device move to NIP that really hasn't panned out. Going along a similar line to, I guess, you and Mix, in the sense of seeing him go from Astralis being one of the best players in the world consistently to the sort of level he's had since then. And also just seeing how NIP hasn't really been able to find much success, and now suddenly they're talking about having like language issues as well, with Esotag initially. So I think seeing that whole arc play out and how it hasn't actually really borne any fruit for NIP has been very interesting. Obviously, I don't want to comment on Device's like own specific personal situation. With
I was just gonna say that like
he's dealing with, but yeah, I
was pretty curious of like happened with the Device thing. My like armchair psychologist, armchair journalist, mine said that like that got like intentionally leaked so that like Device could see what the reaction would be to something like that without having to commit to it. And then I think when you see like the general like vibe around the move being like, oh, Device is just hopping off after like 8 months or something back to Astralis, like, and then he's like, oh, you know, it's not gonna happen. But that, yeah, like I said, like you, like with you, it's like specifically Device and NIP, but like the Astralis and NIP thing, and now how that's like branching into Vitality, like this overall story of like the greatest team of all time and how this core is like, you know, kind of flooding into the rest of the scene and seeing how it all develops, I think is like probably the most interesting thing to me in Counter-Strike at the moment.
The thing about the Device move, the potential Device move for him to return to Astralis, is that like I without saying one way or another whether I think it makes sense in a logistical sense, like would it happen or could it happen? It's more like if it does happen, or if it comes out that, like Mick says, you know, actually it was a bit of a test leak. Like, does it work? What do people think about it? And then there's the backlash, and then he backed off. If that actually did happen and Device did leave NiP and go back to Astralis, like, that would sting. I think that would tarnish the rest of his career, like, for good. You know?
It would sting for NIP. It would tarnish Device, but that lineup would be such.
It would be so good.
It would be so good.
It might actually be good and a contender. Yeah, you're right. But like, you kind of have, forever he would be known as like the guy. Like, what a mistake all of this past year would have been at that point. You know what I mean? So yeah,
config blame up Device. Oh, that'd be so good.
Oh, it would be massive.
I will say one thing that I did enjoy seeing was when Device came out on Twitter to dispel that report, basically, about him being interested in going back to Astralis. First of all, the report never said that he was going back, and he tried to make it seem as such. It just said that he wanted to go back. But I did enjoy the fact that most comments on Reddit, HLTV, Twitter, etc. actually called him out on it this time. Usually people are like, oh yeah, the player is always right, and they would never lie to us, ever. They've never done that before. And this time a lot of people were like, yeah, but the report didn't say that. And I was like, nice.
I think
finally people can read.
For the most part, I feel like the players have lost a lot of that like goodwill over the last like year or two, maybe.
Certain players for sure, yeah.
I don't know. I never really see it as like a common thing that happens anymore, where like a player comes out and like denounces a leak, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's right. The player said it wasn't happening," and then it happens. Like, I feel like that hasn't happened in fucking forever.
I guess that's a point, right? Because a lot of the journalists now, whenever Nell says something even, and he's not like the same level of journalist as some of the other people who put their names and faces out, but he's been around long enough that I think he might have been grandfathered in under like a different law almost. But in general, the court of public opinion tends to be like, oh, if somebody reports something, it's legit as long as it's certain names. Of course, I say that, and then I'm remembering fucking Danish leaks or whatever. Like, Jesus, never mind. Never mind. Fuck you, people. Fuck you, people. I can't believe you.
You have to build up your name, but like no one's gonna like if someone tries to say that like a Nell report was totally fake, like no one's gonna believe whoever said it. Like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They're gonna be like, I'm sure Nell had like something, like there was definitely something going on. No one believes you that like nothing was happening.
There's some Brazilian journalists. I didn't even know who he was until I saw a recent tweet by Malbs, and then in the comments it was like Roque Marquez. I don't even know who I literally don't even know who he is.
Yeah,
but apparently, like I basically had to ask in the replies to his tweet who is this Roque Marquez guy, because there was this tweet like basically people are like, my bad, bro, I only believe Roque Marquez, and apparently everybody just says that this guy's the most legit Brazilian journalist ever or something. So I mean, yeah, people like Nell and this guy, I guess, have a lot of credit in the community, which is cool. But also like players that say like I'm not doing it. Like, dude, I remember freaking like Freakazoid said that, and he literally left like the next day or some shit like that one time.
Do the people know something I don't?
Yes, exactly. I was like, right? I just don't care anymore when players say stuff.
Yeah. Ghost. The rumor was that like Freakazoid was leaving Ghost, and he was like, "Do people know something I don't?" And then it was like 2 weeks later, he was like gone. I was
like, exactly. Yeah, those I like players saying stuff means zero to me.
It made no sense. He was like the only one that tried to deny it. Like,
yeah, exactly. Maybe by like I don't know, his contract he's supposed to do that.
Maybe people.
I did like how it turned into a meme with Steele doing it when his report his move somewhere was reported, and it was very obvious it was happening.
Yeah,
he would just resurrect that one. That's good.
Yes.
Okay, let's move to the next topic. Okay, what is our favorite roster move of the year? Pranoga, what's yours?
So this one is interesting to me because I think everybody is going to say bit to NaVi in terms of best.
That would be the best. That would be the best.
In terms of the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I'm going to go for favorite, I am tempted to say Cold Zero to Complexity just because it was really funny to have him like less than a week later get 2 16-0s not in his favor. That was just amazing. Like the fact that, I mean, it wasn't even a week later. It's probably longer than that. But like every single time he shows up to some roster. What was that thing that came out recently? It was like KNG's mom shit talking to him. like every team Cold Zero joins gets 16-0'd. Get him out of here. Like his mom. KNG's mom is a fucking Redditor. Like what the hell, dude? That's amazing. So I thought that was just incredible. Like it's been a source of constant ha-has. But even beyond that.
The only thing I can think about with that shit is that like, how did an org go from like signing Mix to signing Cold Zero in like 5 months?
0-0 Nation. They are all over the place.
Oh yeah, well of course 0-0 Nation would do it.
0-0 prospects.
Yeah. I was just about to mention it. There's going to be no academy team that's possibly ever has a worse or better name.
I signed for like a random tier 2 European team. I'm just like, okay, cool. Like they have money. Like I'll just be able to, build up something here over time. You're European, you go get myself. And then like 2 weeks later, they get new owners and they want to bring in like a fucking Brazilian team. And I'm like,
this is insane.
I had 4 days of practice. Like, I didn't even get to do anything. What do you mean?
The classic. So yeah, if I would bring up the Cold Zero one just as a bit, but if I had to actually bring up a real roster move, I mean, this is kind of also a bit, but not really. It's a bit in a different way. It's the device to NIP move was really interesting to me because it was like the best kept secret from Tier 1 CS.
Oh yeah,
where
that
like
was good.
Everybody who wasn't actually connected on the inside, and even a lot of the people who were connected may not have known like exactly when it was happening, or is it just a rumor? It was actually really well kept together behind the scenes, and that meant that the reveal, where they do that like edited video and they've got all this, you're almost watching it for the first time in disbelief. Like they're playing audio from device clutches, and some dude who looks vaguely like Device's silhouette is walking down, I guess he's in Stockholm or something, and then, he's walking around, and you're like, no, this is a NIP tweet. Like there's no way this is actually Device, and then it actually is Device. I think just for the reveal, there is something there. And then obviously there's like the the best / worst part of that was obviously the press offensive where they're like, it's like Cristiano Ronaldo, blah, blah, blah. And then like, they went crazy afterwards. But for that moment in general, I think that's noteworthy just because some people might forget or maybe just weren't around to see it when it happened. Like if you were following CS and you were like, you see a nip tweet and you're like listening to this, like, no way, this has to be bait or this has to be a bit. But no, it's real. So that was cool, I thought.
Mix, what's your roster move?
Man, nothing really stood out to me. I mean, Cloud9 dropping the Colossus was pretty sick. I think that was a good move.
Okay. All right.
I think
all right.
It didn't really lead to.
That doesn't feel like it was this year. That's how absurd that. Or like last year.
Is that actually this? Is it actually?
Surely
it was March 2020. Yeah.
Yeah. That was.
I mean, it was a good move.
Wait, 2020? You mean, or 2021?
Sorry, 2021.
Okay.
It hasn't really led to results like this year, but I'll say like my top roster move of the year was Astralis getting Config and BlameF because I felt like that completely, almost pretty much like kind of saved their trajectory. Like if BlameF and Config are still in Cole and succeeding, like what is Astralis doing right now? Like I have no idea what they're building. I feel like it just was the easiest way to like it signed them 2 great Danish riflers. So keep up the whole Astralis team of the team. You don't have to go international or anything. It gives you like a solid core. I mean, obviously they still need to like find an offer and stuff, but I just felt like signing Config and BlameF was actually huge. Not necessarily for like now, but just for like the overall future of the team.
Okay, yeah, that's a really reasonable one. Like, I mean, they did perform well at the fall finals, but that was actually just lucky, right? That's what they want to push out there. That's the narrative. Okay.
Literally firing me was the roster move of the year. And then obviously, Nick said floppy back to CS, and I actually think that is one that's a bit underrated, and I think is definitely
that's a good one.
That is actually very big for Extra Salt because I'm not kidding. Floppy is better than when like he left CS originally. So
yeah,
that's big for Extra Salt. It got them helped them get like a good run in Europe, get in the Pro League, and I assume that like this like good run that they had at the end of the year hopefully helped them get looked at by Complexity as like kind of like a backup option apparently to whatever happened with Copenhagen Flames or whatever. So that could have had a very big effect for them.
Yeah.
No, also really good for NACS as a whole. So I'm gonna cheat a little bit and say my favorite move is one that technically hasn't happened yet, but it's Complexity signing the Extra Salt core.
See,
and Grim and
Junior. But then in my head, I was like, that's more of like an early contender for best roster move of 2022.
Listen, man,
for NA, it's a good.
All I'm saying is, I reported it in 2021.
There it is.
I'm gonna count it as a 2021 roster.
Just so you guys know that, like, if that Complexity team does go through, that is going to be a top 10 team. Just so you know.
Wow, that's kind of bold. That's actually very bold,
especially losing OC. Right?
I like it.
Yeah, losing OC and
like getting Grim.
Yeah, but if he's used correctly, but
wait, who's opping on that team anyway? Have they announced?
Junior.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I guess that could be legit. I mean, you'd have to see. You have to like really have faith that the Junior and Grim are going to pop off in this team. But it could happen. I guess. Yeah, I could.
The one man that can activate them, Shake.
There is no. They have JT. It's fine.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I think JT's. I mean,
JT might literally be a top 10 IGL in the world. I'm just saying.
JT's a better caller than Shake. No offense.
No, JT is literally a top 10 IGL in the world. Okay, after improving his fragging and his calling, improving a lot, you're gonna see. I don't know what to tell you. There's so much talent on the team between like Floppy, like Thing and Grim.
This is so crazy.
It's gonna be insane.
This is like you're not remembering Europe exists or the CIS region. This is crazy.
There's so much potential here. This is gonna be a top 10 team.
I think they could be top 20 for sure. Like I have no doubts they could be top 20 if I have my thinking cap on. But top 10, dude, like. God, that's really
you have to start listing off teams. Like who's better than them? Probably.
Each time you're gonna trigger Mix so hard with what you just said.
Who's Complexity gonna be better than Furia?
No, T-Time just said you're just trying to manifest your best Henry G impression.
Yeah.
Tell me that I'm doing a Henry G impression ever again in my life. Okay, moving on.
Oh my God.
Do you see a mushroom on my head? Do you see a mushroom in my Twitter? Get out! Get out of my chat.
Like it's fungible.
Fungible
Henry G.
No one cares. Okay.
All I'm
Complexity. I'm saying it right now. Okay. Complexity at some point in 2022 will break the top 10.
Okay.
I told Junior that I was writing a top 20 article last night, and then he tried to shit talk me, and I said, "Hey, no top 20 players in this chat." And he said, "Hey, if that simple guy can do it, then I can do it too." So
Wow.
Exactly.
Junior top 20 player 2021 or 2022. You heard it here first.
Is he still rocking the 1 in his username?
On Twitch, I believe. Not officially.
1 in the name, 1 in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. I'm gonna do my roster move. I think this is kind of an obvious one, but it just kind of maybe had too much drama surrounding it afterwards that people forgot. But I think Refresh and Shush to Heroic was just exceptional. Like that was such a good move. I just like Heroic have pretty much maintained since that move. They barely have been out of the top 5 since it happened. Like they were top 3, top 1 they were top 1, right? Or no, they were top 2. They were, since it happened, they've been like pretty much second to 8th the entire time. Yeah, second to 8th in the rankings. Like that's just insane. That's insane consistency for me. So and they won Pro League. They did so much great stuff. It's just kind of a shame that their year has been more so stamped by the fact that their ex-coach did the dirties, and all that happened. But I really think that this roster is still very freaking good, and I am excited to see that now that the drama is a little bit more put behind them, what they can accomplish in the upcoming year too, because I think they are definitely a top 3 team.
Yeah, I'm honestly the Hunden out of CS might have been the best roster move.
Yeah, Hunden out of CS.
That might have actually been the best one
out of the game.
Yeah. See ya. Bye-bye. There you go.
Okay, let's do the final topic in our recap for now. Simple is going to be number 1, but how do you order 2, 3, and 4? I've gone last for every single, or last or second to last on all of them, so I'll go first on this one. My 2, 3, and 4 are going to be. I think. Is anybody not going to pick these 3 players? I'll just say this: is anybody not going to pick Shiro, Nico, and ZywOo? Like I feel like that's the 3.
My 3.
That's my 3. That's your. Is that everybody else's?
I do not have Shiro.
Oh,
interesting.
Okay, you should go last. You should go last then. We'll debate on the.
I didn't have Shiro either.
What the hell?
Interesting. Okay.
No, Mix has Mantu, obviously. Come on, don't you guys remember?
That's true.
That's a deep cut for this one.
Forgot about that. Yeah,
I got my phone, and Shiro is not one of them.
Okay, well, let's go between myself and Note really quickly then. So for my number 2, I would. Oh God, this kind of sucks to do it, but I think I'm just gonna pick Nico because it's my list and not like a stats list, because I just value what he does so highly. I really think what he does is like so impossible to replicate, even though I think on the HLTV list he'll be like 4th maybe, yeah, I think he should be 4th probably, but in my list he's 2.
I think he'll make 3rd, honestly.
Okay, yeah. I mean, either way, I'll put him there, and then number 3 will be Shiro, and 4th will be ZywOo for me. What about you, Note?
Interesting. I think just in terms of the way that the list is usually weighed on HLTV, I'm gonna guess. No, I know, but I'm saying I think the HLTV list will probably be in order: ZywOo, Shiro, Nico.
Yeah.
Personally, my list would probably end up being ZywOo, Nico, Shiro.
Okay.
In that order. So 2, 3, 4. I think only because ZywOo won some offline titles towards the end of the year and actually still had
some you mean one. By some you mean one. Yeah.
Yes.
And he won 1 MVP at the end of the year. That actually is so important for his case, actually. Yes. He didn't have any MVPs this year before that.
I just think that puts him a little bit above in overall level in terms of consistency throughout the year. Especially because Gambit obviously struggled a little bit at the end of the year, even though they went up against NaVi, so like, a little expected in that sense. But they had a very good record against them online, especially. So seeing that happen was a little bit sad. But yeah, I definitely think that it's going to end up being specifically in that order. I think Nico obviously had an insane end to the year, but he was also still very consistent throughout the year. So I think with that, he can probably sneak into third just overall. Shiro, I found that like he's really impactful for Gambit, but in terms of like impact as a player out of those four or out of those three, I guess, I think Nico and Ziwu are just slightly above him.
Mm-hmm. I'll just do one more thing. I think my case for Nico was that for one, in only one single event of the year did he have a beneath a 1.0 KD, which is insane as for a rifler. On top of that, I'm kind of like gonna forgive that little period. Like I kind of like want to just forget the period where he tried opping for a little bit, you know, like and so that's why my list is just kind of a little phony, because I'm scrubbing a little bit of data from my list. I think actually, let me check the event that he went negative. He didn't really opt though, so that's just on him that he didn't do well at the Blast Spring groups. But either way, I just think that because he's like entering a lot of the like finding openings on T side with a rifle a lot of the time, and he's not opping, means that his stats like should be double inflated for me. So that's kind of how I see it. Okay, let's do mix. What's your top four, 2, 3, 4?
Number 2, I'd probably give it to Nico.
Okay.
Number 3, Ziwu.
My man.
And then number 4 was like kind of tough. I want to go to a Gambit player just because I think like they were still good at the start of the year, especially.
Mm-hmm.
And so Shiro's like the obvious pick, but for me, I actually would say Axel. It's like I'll put at number 4, even though the stats might not say so much. I just think he was like probably the most important part of Gambit's T sides actually being like as strong as they are, and like that style like working so difficult. Because I just remember like the axe like from like the matches. I think I only had one match against Gambit this year when C9 was still a thing during like Pro League. And I can just remember like how annoying it was to prepare for them, specifically because of Axel more than anyone else, because, you know, he's so good at just walking up short on overpass and taking a fight, or just like, you know, Tag will just be holding from coils on like Inferno B site, and Axel just walks up and just headshots him, and it's just like, it makes it so impossible to play a fucking CT side when someone's doing that. And I think he was like so consistent, and like Gambit was so good throughout the year, and I think that was mostly because of him. So
too bad he got nervous at LAN. Too bad he got nervous. He literally he changed, bro.
Yeah,
you changed, bro.
Unfortunate. I'm still gonna give it to him though.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Shiro is really good. I just don't feel like giving it to him because I'm biased, I guess.
Yeah.
Fuck Hoppers. I want to give it to him, I guess.
That's kind of why I'm like that too. Like I kind of would rather give it to Hobbit, but like he just wasn't good enough in some of the tournaments for me. Like I really like Hobbit, but
and I just think they had pretty similar stats, but I would say Axel had a higher, like more positive impact than Hobbit did. Obviously, Hobbit's still fucking crazy good. So
yeah,
but Axel, I really think Axel's like if anything like the 4th most impactful player, but I would call it the best if you want to call it that.
Okay, Pronogo, what's yours?
So Nico's number 2 for me. The reason being primarily for the fact that it's not really what he did. I mean, he did do some really phenomenal stuff, especially towards the end of the year. And obviously the other thing is I put it in his favor that he was dealing with a very dysfunctional and substandard team for the caliber of player he was at for much of the online period. Plus, we know he's more money on LAN than he is online, and that seems to be a trend for all star players, of at least that have been established at LAN levels. The other thing is that I just generally weigh LAN results heavier, and I basically threw out, not completely, but I did weigh the online stuff way less, and that's why there's no Gambit player in my top 4. I'm not even really sure who would be... I guess Shiro gets an honorable mention for me, but I'm not even sure I would put him at 5. He might get it over a bit or something. But so for me, the thing is, I put Ziwu below Nico because for me, again, like I said earlier, Ziwu's been in the same sort of system and structure for so long that it's hard for me to rate him on the same level. He's obviously had really good impact, besides the major, which drags him down a little bit further because it took him a while to get heated up, whereas obviously Nico was banging from day one. So I would just say Nico is playing a role where it's harder to inflate your stats and still delivering really good stats. Ziwu has the whole team sort of set up for him, and Nico had to do more and experiment even with the opping and try to like build this team up to be a contender, and somehow almost made it within touching distance of getting to a 3rd map. And then obviously we remember the famous choke, but he wouldn't have even been in that position if he hadn't carried so hard up until that point, right? So that's why Nico's number 2, and conversely why Ziwu is number 3. And my number 4 is Electronic. and it's probably going to catch some people off guard. I just feel like, once again, another rifler, really, really solid. You only didn't notice him because Simple's on his team and because Bit just showed up. Yeah. So, the Bit gets an honorable mention as well, just because he didn't play long enough to make it higher than what I would have put him at. And obviously he's also maybe unproven compared to some of the other players on this list. I would just say, like, LAN results over online results, and these riflers are doing crazy business without needing to rely on the noob gun. So there you go.
The noob cannon. Yeah, the noob cannon. Okay, all right. Let's that's it for our recap. Let's move into some questions here. So we have Patreon questions. Also, anybody that is a subscriber on Twitch can ask a question as well. So get those questions in. We'll move into, let's do the question of the week. Let's do the question of the week, and then we'll give time to any subs to ask some Qs here or there. So the question of the week, if people are not familiar with the show, is a question I come up with every week, and it's more just an open-ended one. Could be kind of like about theory about the game, or just kind of a concept in general, something that's sometimes topical. And this one's a little bit topical. So I was wondering, if the op were removed from the game, what are the biggest changes in the meta? Because I think there was that weird score esports thing. Don't even watch it. Don't watch it.
Don't give them clicks.
It's bad. It's bad. Don't watch it. I watched Hawka's response to it. I'll say that, but I didn't watch the score esports video itself. So watch Hawka's video about why that video is bad.
Save you a click. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, people are, some noobs are thinking that the op is OP, but like, let's actually think about it. If the op were removed from the game, what are the biggest changes in the meta? Anybody can start.
I feel like we would end up seeing a lot more of the SG and AUG getting played, even with the nerf that they've had in the last year, or 2 years now. I don't know how it was at this point, but I feel like we'd see players pick that up a bit more, even with the change in impact from those guns specifically, just because being able to have like a scope that can lock down a certain location regardless is still invaluable. And so even having like the SG able to like hard clear one angle quickly with a crouch peek is still going to be able to yield you some decent impact.
I'll say that I'll go ahead, Mix.
Yeah, it's fine. I was just gonna say, like, I feel like defaulting on T side would just be like even like way stronger, just because you wouldn't have to worry about like walking anywhere and getting ops. Like, you'd be able to just like take as much control as you want. You can just like spot everything. If you spot a rifler, it's not like you like have to take the fight usually. So like executes, like I almost would like never run set plays on my team probably if there was no op to worry about on CT side. It was just, you'd be able to default, you'd be able to like use like a lot less utility and like figure out, you know, what everyone's doing, just because you wouldn't have to worry about getting off from like random places. So I just think teams that like really like pounce on that type of like aggressive defaulting, taking map control, you know, stuff like what Axel does would just be like even stronger.
Yeah, I think for sure T side gets a little bit more impactful in the early stages of the game, just because you don't need as much utility. You basically would see teams play around. In my mind, I'm thinking you'd see teams take engagements similar to how they do on anti-ecos, when they don't actually expect an op to be on the field for the CTs. And conversely, CTs would be able to push out more aggressively on like top mid and Inferno, for example, because they won't have to get owned by a single click. They're gonna, you know, maybe flash out a bit more aggressively, or maybe not flash out at all. You'll see a lot more dry play. That would be the initial thing. I'll also say that Device retires. There you go.
Okay. He
Device is a pretty good rifler. Yeah,
he can rifle.
He is, but I just imagine his reaction after like the most shit year ever for his career in recent history, and then he boots up CS, and then the op is removed. He's like, "Fuck this! I'm moving to Valorant." Bye.
I mean, if a player's gonna retire, it'd be James.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah,
true.
He can't even.
He would have an existential crisis.
Nothing to save anymore.
Yeah,
man.
He would be like, "But I save pistol.
This is my identity. This is my identity." Yeah, I save SG. Yeah. I'll kind of like go. I guess maybe it's a little bit different than what Mick said, but I would say like CT aggression would just be way more rampant. I think that would be because, like, for example, you know, what's going to prevent you from like running out mid double doors on Dust 2? Like, no one's there to snipe you. Dust 2 becomes a better map, actually. That's one thing that's cool. I think it's a huge improvement, I think, to a lot of like pugs, actually. I think casual play kind of becomes more fun in a lot of ways, because I think that what ruins a lot of pugs for me, and especially like when I was playing more FPL, was just sudden just all like how powerful ops were when you just weren't coordinated. And I think
this is
yeah.
I have a very unpopular CS opinion, which is that there should be something done to make smokes way more casual friendly. Because I genuinely think, especially for like new players, the fact that it's so difficult to like learn and line up smokes, and you have to like learn all this shit.
Yeah.
And then if you don't learn it, you're just getting off from everywhere. I feel like it's so bad for casual players. So my unpopular opinion is that like the difficulty of smokes in CS isn't worth it. Like the skill cap increase that it may give you is like not worth it for like all the downsides of it. That's one thing I actually prefer about Valorant.
I think I kind of agree with that. It's a little off topic, kind of a tangent, but I think that's like, dude, smoke lineups just give so many people so much like anxiety, and just like it ruins moments in matchmaking so frequently, because it's like, who missed their smoke? We just all died because of that. You know, that is true. Yeah. I don't think utility usage would change that much, because you're still trying to force people off angles or take space a lot of the time, and you don't want to take fights that might be favorable for even a rifle that's posted up in a good angle, or like it would probably be an AUG or a Krieg for that matter. But I just think that there's just so much less to be worried about when you're pushing on CT side, and you know that there's not an op peeking up mid on Inferno, for example. Like that stuff like just counters so many plays. So I think also we probably one thing, this is not even a big meta change obviously, but it's funny, is that we would never no one would care about that 4-man overpass boost. No one would even give a shit that thing exists. People would be like, what's the point, dude? Just run out with your rifles. Okay.
Well, I mean, hey, people were criticizing us in chat for forgetting about the scout, but still,
I don't think that really changes a lot. Like I was thinking, I was thinking, would the auto sniper get more popular? I think it would actually. It would get more popular, the auto sniper, but it's not
a 1-bullet kill, which is the big difference, right? That's like the big issue.
I'm running double auto sniper.
I think auto sniper is going to be I think it would be used. I think it
could be used now. Listen, I'm just saying
it can be used.
I went back to a 2014 nuke game.
2014
C9.
2014.
It was NIP versus C9 on nuke, and C9 was using double auto snipers on CT side during a major. So I'm gonna bring it back.
I mean, get right.
2016 Luminosity SK is calling on train.
People forget this, but get right's like third most kills on any gun was like the auto sniper. No, just that's because they were so far ahead in games that he had the money to buy it twice in the same half.
And shout out Space Soldiers fans who said that somebody used, I don't even remember which team used it, but somebody used the auto sniper against them, and they started like death threats or whatever online.
Kerrigan, maybe? No.
I don't know. Yeah, whoever it was pretty amazing. How do you get angry at a gun? You know what I mean? Like,
I remember one time, a team getting mad over a team using like 5 ops against them or something, saying like they were like, this isn't CS or something.
It was there was a Astana Dragons bought 5 ops one time, something like that, because they were just winning in a pretty legit game.
If you still win with it, then the only people you can be mad at is yourself for losing to that. Like, what do you mean?
Truly,
get good, noobs. That's what you say.
Okay, let's get into some Qs, and then we'll close this one out. We got kind of a lot. So first one, firsoch. Longtime patron, might be the longest standing patron, honestly. I don't know if anybody's longer. I can check this, but I'm just gonna say it.
There you go.
And no one can fact check me except for Pronogo, who also has access to the Patreon account.
And I won't either, so it's fine. You're safe.
Yeah, so I'm right. So I'm definitely right. firsoch said, would you make any substitutions to this new extra salt roster that includes Daps and Rush? So for people that aren't aware, the roster is Daps, the proposed roster for what's coming up. And we'll talk more about Roster Mania next season, or next episode, but because it's a patron question, we'll do it now. It's Daps, Rush, Minus as the Opper, Swisher,
Infinite.
Infinite. Okay, yeah. So
immediately to me, like the thing that stands out is that there's really no like natural aggression in terms of like the riflers on this team. Like there's no one that's like really good at it. Rush hasn't done that in like 3 years, right? He's been kind of like bitch rolls for complexity for like 2 years.
It's different what you mean by I want to describe this, because I don't think people really get it that Rush was an entry fragger by like strat design, not by like in a default he's gonna like peek,
he's not like
drive.
he's like super aggressive, like just fighting everything that he wants. And the thing is that like Swisher and Infinite also aren't like that at all either. Like they'll definitely take fights, but they're more like pretty passive, like lurkers. So it's like I don't really know what they plan to do with like their T side. If it's like Daps and Rush like taking map control, it's like that can work. But like neither of you are like I don't think Rush is like jumping back to like E-League MVP levels. Like I'm sure he could still do pretty good in like maybe like that type of role if like that's what Daps wants for him. Maybe he wants Swisher to do it or something. I'm not really sure. I just don't feel like the riflers on the team mesh very well just from my initial stance, my initial view on it. And so I kind of worry about historically for me, Daps teams have always been very easy to read and pretty easy to like pick up on, understand what they're doing. I would usually get like a lot of like reads and tells, and a lot of that I felt like because they played to like passively a lot of the time. There wasn't like a lot of randomness, and I mean that in like kind of like a bad way. It felt like it was very standard CS. It was pretty easy to like play against, and I worry that like from first glance this team will be pretty similar.
Okay. Anybody else have? I'll just go. I think like the question's super open-ended. Like, would I make any substitutions? Like I guess with more money I would get players from other teams, but it kind of in this space, I think Mix called out I think a big issue that I don't like. It almost feels like the problem to me with this roster on paper is that DAP's style is very default centric, and like you said, Mix, it's kind of like readable because it's never like they never have too many like the things that Stanislaw does when he gets a DAPS roster is he kind of adds like some question marks in what's going on. Like it's almost like he has alternatives to certain plays and like pace changes, tempo changes that make things like uncomfortable for teams where they're used to a certain kind of gun round for 2 rounds and then it just like completely changes on its head.
Yeah, like that's like Stan is really good at that when he's like in his zone, like when he's comfortable on a team. Like I remember Complexity. I remember Stan literally outcalling the fuck out of God B during a major on like the 2L match when you're playing them on Nuke. He just went inner like 3 times and like threw an outside fake and just went inner again.
Yeah.
So and then he just went inner again on him. Like he's throwing like these like question marks and doing like these random things where like a DAPS team I feel like first gun round like default.
Yeah, you feel out the opposing team. It's a lot of that. Like I think the thing about this team to me is that it's not supposed to actually be a world contender immediately.
Yeah.
It's like a DAPS lineup in theory is kind of like one that's going to bring up the pieces, and then once they figure out what the core that they're looking for is, then they can replace something. So I personally
this roster.
Yeah, I wouldn't really actually change anything right now. I would let it like marinate for 5-6 months, and then see what's the missing piece, and it's probably going to be something along the lines that Mick said.
Yeah. I don't know that like any of these players I would necessarily like want to take out right now to add like some like random aggressive player.
Right.
I think that like obviously about Daps real, he obviously is very good at building up teams and he knows what he's doing. Like there is like a structure that helps these players, and I definitely can't see this team just like falling flat on its face. Like I think it'll be pretty decent, like at the very least. I think they'll be a pretty good team within NA. So, and then just down the line, I think that'll probably be like kind of the troubles they run into, kind of like what leaves their ceiling kind of low.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Like the thing for me is that if you're trying to pick out players to swap out, you have to sort of know who's going out and who's going in. And I can't really concretely make that decision right now. Just looking at the roster, especially without them having played it all. One thing I do like about Extrasalt is that they're willing to like let talent develop a little bit and give them like a fair shot, and then if results aren't actually coming, they're willing to actually make those changes and build towards making their roster better.
Well, I assume with Extrasalt, like on Extrasalt, like TC always had pretty much control over the roster the entire time.
Yes. But Daps is also very good at scouting talent.
No, I'm saying, like, I don't think it's so much the org. I think it's just that they give TN the reins, and then I imagine with this team, they're giving Daps the reins to kind of do whatever he wants.
We've only seen one.
But I mean, they're willing to also just go out and make those moves once they're actually like brought to the table, right? Not like some orgs will say that you have control, but then they won't really make the move when you come to them with it. So I think that's
they're not going to like
a little big.
The org isn't going to go out and pay like $400K for a player for them, but they'll definitely allow them to like make the moves that they want.
All right.
I was just gonna say my favorite Stanislaw question mark that he brings to teams is he actually gonna play at the event that his team is going to?
Oh my god. Okay. All right.
Is EG the final sort of chapter of Dap Stan? I'm not sure. You know, that question.
It could keep coming. Yeah. It really can keep.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Okay. EasyPete has a question from Patreon saying, what sort of system/leader does the new look Liquid need? Saw Maui's tweet about OC having experience in Extra Salt, but did Liquid ever play with that kind of structure? I would say yes. I think they play. Is a slightly different structure because I think Liquid's always been a little bit more comfortable with slower defaults than Extra Salt was. But yeah. What?
The last year or so in Extra Salt will have been good for OC because JT went really heavily away from that execute style, especially on T side, to kind of just they default a lot more now. OC's a lot more involved on T side. He has OC playing with this team is they haven't really stuck to one consistent style over the time, so they've played a couple different ways. So yeah, I don't think he'll be too uncomfortable. But yeah. Sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought there, but I think OC will be just fine.
Yeah. Well, the what sort of system? So his question is mostly what sort of system leader does the new Liquid need? I
think Nitro will be fine.
Let's combine questions. So there's another patron question kind of about this.
I was just thinking that too.
Yeah. So Adam asks, do you think Nitro is the best IGL option for Liquid? If not, who would you have IGL instead? So we're gonna do this together. Because they're very similar. So do we think Nitro is the best IGL option for Liquid? I'd say no, because he doesn't know the game right now. That's just kind of my obvious answer. If anything, I probably just have to give say Shocks, because when he did it for G2 briefly, he kind of became that.
I'm sorry, but I would also take Nitro calling over Shocks calling.
I was going to say that as a joke. Over Shocks. I thought you were talking about bringing a different player in.
Oh no, I feel like it's with the 5 they have is what I'm thinking. Okay, well,
so here's my problem with that is that I think without Nitro, I think Shocks would make a good emotional captain for the team in terms of not necessarily the IGL part of it, but he would be able to ground the team in their own if you've seen any of the clips, even recently with the Vitality's last couple of tournaments, he was still sort of an emotional leader and helping bring up some of the younger players on that team.
Yeah.
So I think he very much could anchor the team emotionally, but Nitro also does the exact same thing, at least according to Elish. That was one of the big things that Nitro would bring to the team before.
Mm-hmm.
So having them both there is sort of overlaps that.
Redundant. So, it's a little redundant.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I'll say this, I think that the way, so I'm actually thinking about how Shocks used to call when he was the IGL for G2 a long time ago, and it kind of didn't work, is that what I remember very vividly is that he played a very boomich role, which is kind of meta today, where he would buy a lot of bad guns. He would buy the MP9 a lot.
Dude, and no way Maui is talking himself into Shocks IGLing.
Well, so it's with this with this 5, who can call? It's literally just him or Nitro. I don't want anybody else.
It's Nitro.
We're not gonna get OC to call. We're not gonna get a Leisure Nav, obviously. I mean,
so wait, hold on. So
yeah,
okay. So Shocks, you're saying okay? I'm trying to amalgamate everybody's position here. So Nitro is the caller, Adren is the non-timeout caller, and then we've got Shocks. Emotional leader Shocks is something I never thought I would see. By the way, apparently that's the case, according to what you were saying there. But for me, I just imagine when I cry, you cry. That's what I'm just thinking. That's the way you're leading the fucking.
No, he said that he has that super famous clip of him saying, "We are 5 fingers in the glove" or whatever.
Yeah,
or
5 fingers of the hand or whatever.
Of the hand or whatever. All right,
listen,
that was a great line. That was amazing.
Because the way he speaks is almost so uplifting. If you're seeing it. For some reason, it just Guys, sounds like wholesome.
Yeah,
it sounds wholesome, right?
Yeah. It's just the last clip I saw that Vitality posted was Shocks was guys, we are going to enter the server and we are going to fuck them.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
I guess that's how you.
I agree.
Inspire confidence. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it is. That's literally. It's just simple things like that.
Okay, maybe he can be the leader of men. I'm just thinking Elige is going to be our stock trade leader. He's definitely got he's got the goods. He's got the incentive now. So. He's
got the ownership, stakes. Yeah. Okay.
How's that for a poorly aged take, by the way? The fact that last episode was like, yeah, get Elige out of Liquid, actually. Like, he's been there for too long. He's not going to be doing anything now. Meanwhile, he's literally buying parts of the owner.
I know.
Like, fuck me,
I know.
Dude. There you go.
Yeah. Okay, I don't want to actually convince myself for Shocks to actually IGL. So let's move on from that one. It's gonna be Nitro. Yeah, Nitro is gonna be the leader. They're gonna play. I would say just play, the standard slow default Liquid style together, like pack little, like kind of like buddy system a lot. And I guess Shocks would be like the lurk most of the time, and map control would be Elige, Nitro, and OC, something like that. NAF also can be an extremity player. I think that's all fine. Okay, another question. Bill says, so lots of people have been talking about what effect the Danes coming to Vitality will be like for ZywOo as a player and Zonic as a coach. But what about Magisk and dupreeh? What expectations and numbers should we expect for them? For all the praise that Masuda has gotten this year, he still ends the year with a negative KD and a 1.02 rating, still second highest for the team. So what numbers should we expect from the two Danish players?
It is genuinely insane, like how bad ZywOo's teammates have been. Like from like a fragging standpoint, like we're like holy shit, like because ZywOo actually has like a decent second player, and then you go and look at his stats, and it's still like a negative KD, and like but he has like above a 1.0 rating, so you're like, yeah, this is an upgrade. So it's like I don't know, I'm almost scared to see what happens if like Magisk actually like plays well on this team.
Yeah, it's I'd say for numbers, like. Because Bill wants actual like ratings or something. I think Magisk could easily hit Magisk and or dupreeh can both hit like 1.08, 1.1 ratings. Yeah. I think that's pretty reasonable.
I think dupreeh. I think it'd be reasonable to expect. Well, maybe not expect, but like if you can come back to like a little bit of form, dupreeh like coming with like 1.10. Magisk I think has like a bit of a higher ceiling than dupreeh at the moment. I think Magisk can hit like. I think Magisk can be like a true like legit like second star. Like a second player that makes the top 20 on the team.
I was actually talking to Apex about this a little bit, and he was kind of billing it like Magisk is supposed to be the second star. He's in his eyes, so that's up. That's like kind of accurate for even what their in-game leader's gonna say. What else? I mean, like there's a couple other stuff to this points to this question. So what kind of expectations? So
expectations specifically for the Danes relative to who they're coming in to replace. I mean, the thing is, like, not only are you getting potentially like 1.1, 1.1, however high you want to potentially rate them, it's not even just the numbers for me. It's also the fact that these are way more veteran players than even Masuda, who's staying on the team, but also obviously way more veteran than Kyojin. So I almost forgot his name. I feel bad for the guy. I remember. I was like, Navera? No, that was a while ago. Okay, well.
I've never felt like Vitality like lacks in experience though.
They didn't when Shocks was on the roster, but now he's gone. So if they had replaced Shocks with like somebody who was brand new, I would have been more concerned. But you are right that like usually that's the case. It's just I'm thinking at least they're not sacrificing age and veterancy. They're getting players who have done it, who have been to the top, who have won majors, and now they can say like, okay, well we have the major winning experience, and we've obviously done a lot with this particular. Like these players have done a lot, so let's have them continue their careers. I mean, it's a really exciting project. I have no idea where it's going to go. Like the first event or two is going to be really telling for this team. I think this is either a crash and burn and then rebuild, and not in the sense where they have to change players around, but in the sense where they need time to warm up, or it's something where they have the instant honeymoon period. I don't think there's any in between for this team.
Mm-hmm. I think they'll. Well, okay. Let's. I want to just pose this question to us really quick. No, we'll get into roster mania stuff next week. Okay. We'll talk about this team even more next week. Let's move on to the next question. What are your guys? SpruceMoose says, what are you guys looking forward to in CS next year? Geez, that is a incredibly broad question.
It's very uplifting and lovely. It's a nice, positive question. Wholesome server time right now.
Yeah. Listen, I think that this year is just going to be exciting in terms of the number of different rosters that we haven't really seen before, the random combinations of some of these players. Like, who would have thought Shocks would be on Liquid a year ago?
Yeah,
right? Like,
so ridiculous.
Or even this Vitality move as well. Like, all of these teams who have made these massive blockbuster moves and signings to sort of take on NaVi is going to be clearly the biggest storyline, especially for the first 6 months of the year, at the very least. So I think that's like, for me, this is probably the most exciting like start to the year we've had in quite a while, especially if we manage to stay on LAN. I don't know if that's going to be the case necessarily, but hoping so. And with that, having like some of these players come into these teams and actually have this like this whole narrative of whether NaVi were so dominant because all these players were making changes, or all these teams were making changes towards the last like 2 months of the year, or if it was actually just how sick NaVi are, which I think pretty clearly they were the best team. But it's going to be fun seeing like a lot of these teams come up and try and challenge them with these weird combinations of rosters now.
Yeah. I would have to second that. I mean, the thing is, like, NaVi emerged as a top team in an era of uncertainty, with all the online stuff. Now we're seeing the start of teams building specifically to defeat NaVi, which is going to be really interesting to see if they can stand that test. So, yeah, I mean, my question is, or my big thing that I'm looking forward to is how many majors can Simple, in fact, win? And is he even able to repeat? How long does this NaVi era go? And, it'll be even more impressive if he continues the success, if NaVi continue their success. Obviously, Bit will have been fully bedded in at that point. We won't be calling him a rookie anymore. But, jury's still out on how long they can stay around for, right? So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Hopefully we stay offline, right? Hopefully we stay in arenas and all that. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Simple 3 majors, Devil Walk 1 major.
There you go.
Also, quickly, one other thing is seeing another North American team get a shot to consistently compete in these big events, because Cole obviously have the partner slots in EPL and Blast. So assuming that this move comes to fruition, seeing another North American team with like upcoming talent get the chance to consistently prove themselves against top teams is going to be pretty exciting.
That's sweet. That is sweet. That's a sweet angle. Yeah. I'll kind of throw this out to a general point. I think more TOs are kind of getting interested in the space a little bit, and we're going to see some more than just the ESL Blast circuit come out, and I think that's just really good for CS. I think the best part about CS is still, in my eyes, the open circuit format of it. Obviously with the crowning achievement being major still, but I think that there's just so many cool ways that a team can come up and doesn't have to, like, because Pro League and Blast have had such a strong grip on the scene over the last 2 years of the online era. And I think because LAN is coming back, like, it kind of builds off of that point, the fact that should entice other TOs to want to run different events, because it's not really fun for most orgs to like look at this space and just think that they gotta do an online circuit or cup. That's just like, but they want to host an event and have people, like, an audience. Okay, so
for me,
what's yours? Yeah, what's yours?
Well, for me, I'm just looking forward to hopefully having a team again where I actually enjoy Counter-Strike.
There it is.
I'm setting the bar low.
That's okay. Oh, that's a personal one. Yeah, actually, you know what? How about personal stuff? Personal stuff. Like that's a good one. That's a good angle mix. I hope I work with different TOs. I say that even though it's the same thing I just said. But yeah. I hope I get to work with new people. Yeah.
Mauisnake wants to host a major grand final this year.
Why not? Why not? If I got a hosting role, I think that'd be pretty cool. I wouldn't mind trying that job out. But I do like analysts and casting too a lot, and I'm very, very comfortable with those.
Yeah, personally, I'd like to go to more international events and maybe get into like broadcast interview work, which would be fun.
Cool.
Yeah, that would be like a personal goal. I don't know whether that would be this year or next year, but definitely looking into that.
I'll just say that I hope to actually go to a LAN. I haven't done that yet, so long overdue. Obviously, I was planning on doing it in the past 2 years, and then the world conspired against that reality, so couldn't do
Not too many that you could have gone to.
yeah. So we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
Also, do we want to do like last call for sub questions here?
Yeah, yeah. So we got like one sub question right now, but there are a few subs. So if you are a sub, be sure to get that in. We'll just do, you know what? Because CrimsonJiMBo just subbed, let's just do this. Okay. He had 2 questions. I don't know if this is fair to give him 2 questions. Actually,
Oh,
probably.
Yeah, I think we pick one.
This is not fair.
Pick one of the whatever one you think is the
I'm
most
reading
exciting.
his questions. Geez, I'm not going to do that second one right now because that's too hard. That's too hard. He wanted us to remake the major format. No, I'm sorry.
I feel like it's not that hard.
Okay, well, how about...
I mean, I can just say one thing on it, which would be I wouldn't mind seeing like a return to GSL groups over Swiss.
Okay, that's the one answer CrimsonJiMBo gets for that one. Let's do the first one. If there are 2 majors this year and NaVi doesn't win either of them, who does? I like that question.
Someone in chat replied complexity, so I'm gonna agree with that.
Wow.
How did they even reply that fast? What the hell?
Yeah, there's no way.
Oh wait, did someone reply?
No,
to
reply
him?
way earlier when it was first asked.
Yeah,
When
like
he
way
asked the
earlier when
question?
he asked it. Yeah.
Okay. Who
Mauisnake in here thinking, wait, chat is in Mix's head. What the hell?
You know what? I'm gonna say that FaZe would win one of them.
Okay.
Big Rops supporter over here.
I'll say Vitality. I'll say Vitality wins one.
Yeah, Astrality. That's interesting. Okay.
No, I'll say Vitality. This Vitality has shown that I think they're a top 3 team. I'd say probably Heroic and Vitality, and would probably be the 2 teams that I think were...
Yeah, but isn't the Danish-French union happening very soon?
Yeah.
So,
You'd have to talk about the Danish roster.
Yeah.
Oh, this year. This year.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. I was thinking.
Okay. I thought you already knew that.
I was thinking 2021.
Oh.
I was thinking last year. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, that just changes everything. I'll still say Vitality wins one.
There you go.
Yeah, with a new Vitality. Yeah.
Okay. I'm wondering who I would pick, because I don't even really like who would make it. There's always like the crazy upset teams that you don't necessarily expect, but I'm trying to think of who the legit challengers would be. I'll go G2. They did say they kept promising, oh, m0NESY's here and now we've got a major, and I'm like, yeah.
I just made a video on m0NESY.
I was about to say, I'm surprised you dropped that video on m0NESY and then didn't mention him at all here.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Well, he's busy looking for the next one over in WePlay, so it makes sense.
Yeah,
that's true.
He's already forgotten about him.
The Warlock Latic.
Yeah.
Latic Warlock.
That guy's got hair game. That guy's got mad hair game.
His hair game rivals your hair game.
There it is. Yeah, but his is like dyed, isn't it? It's like white or something.
I think it's because he bleached it and he messed up. Actually, that's actually how it looks up when you kind of like fry your hair from bleaching it. So I think that's what happened to him.
Or maybe he was struck by a bolt of lightning, but had like a hat that only covered the middle or something.
Yes, that's possible. Yeah. I've never seen anybody's hair look like a basset hound's ears. Like,
okay, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's it. I don't think we have any more sub questions. There was like another person or two with sub, but who cares? Whatever. They're not asking, so we're not answering. All right, that's gonna be it. Yeah, it's a shorter episode than normal, but I think we're gonna try. I'm gonna aim to try to get a guest on the next episode next week. We'll discuss a day, but just so you guys know, just I'd say follow my Twitter. As soon as I know when we're gonna do it, I'll tweet it out.
There it
you
is.
can plan your day around it. As always, though, it's gonna be on YouTube. But if you watch on YouTube, you miss out on a little bit of the fun interaction that we have and the little pre-show that we do only for the Twitch. So that's gonna be it. Let's do shout outs. Mix is already kind of half smiling when I said that, so let's mix his shout out.
Grim,
kill.
Oh.
Okay, Pronogo, what's your shout out?
Oh man, that's the only thing I didn't prepare an answer for today, and I should have known better. I'll say
no. What's your shout out?
What's
your shout?
I'll shout out Complexity for trying to revive NACS.
Cool. That's a good one. That's a great one. Pronogo, what's your shout out now?
I'll just shout out WePlay next major, please.
God damn it! You can't take mine. I'm literally working here, and I'm in this hotel room because of them. I'll shout out JDC. He did an episode of the podcast. I don't think people really understand that this guy is actually very freaking good at Counter-Strike yet, but they'll know soon enough. Is it rumored? I don't know. Is that a rumor that he's gonna join?
Yeah, I saw that rumor.
I saw that
was rumored, but then now NBK is rumored. So
it's NBK.
No, the rumor I saw was NBK and JDC.
Yeah, but Torzy was already promoted, so that means they would be taking another player out.
Take out Bemis or something.
That might not be. Yeah,
take out Bemis.
We'll see though.
Yeah. Okay.
That report could be 100% wrong.
I think JDC is really like really solid rifler. I mean, like, he might have a couple flaws that I'm not seeing because I'm watching him play against academy level players, but I think he's really a cut above these guys, so he deserves it.
There you go.
Cool. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in. As always, thanks to the patrons. Thanks to everybody in chat that tuned in live. And we'll catch you guys quite soon. More episodes. 2022. It's a new year. Enjoy it. Peace.